Nebraska is a long way from the African coffee belt, but it's here, in the heart of corn country, where Laban and Cora Jugana are hoping to stem the loss of coffee growers in Laban's native homeland of Kenya.
For us, the way coffee started was somebody, when we were in Kenya, just asking us, can you help us market our coffee? And my response at that time was, nope, we're not in coffee. I don't know anything about coffee. I don't even drink coffee.
Raised in the capital city of Nairobi, a city with a population of 5 million people, Laban's parents were the first generation in his family to receive a formal education. His father is a college graduate.
My dad is more conservative, behind the desk kind of guy. My mom is out there figuring how things work, and she's not as scared to try anything. When it comes to work ethic and being bold, that was my mother, and I have a little bit of that in me.
Cora was raised on a family farm near Aurora. Like Laban, she also grew up in a close-knit family.
We would ride all over the farm. We would find trouble to get into out there, play with our dolls, build forts, stuff like that. I learned a lot just hanging out with my mom about, how to be an adult, how to raise a family.
Family would be at the heart of many future decisions made by Cora and Laban.
We wanted to be closer to family, have that support system as we began our family and started raising kids. And so that's how we ended up in this part of Nebraska.
It's also how they ended up in the coffee business. As a boy, Laban spent holidays on his grandmother's farm, helping with chores like harvesting coffee.
My grandmother's still alive. She's 105 years old, cannot read and write. In Kenya, coffee was always a very serious cash crop. So my grandmother tells us, that's how I fed my children. So you tend to find that a lot of people are really emotionally attached to this product in Kenya because that was their source of livelihood.
On a return visit to Kenya, Laban's grandmother asked him for help. It was a request Laban found he couldn't ignore.
I get a little bit emotional when I talk about my grandma. A lot of farmers in Kenya had uprooted or have uprooted and continue to uproot their coffee. They moved to other things.
Laban's grandmother was among those who quit growing coffee.
Why is it when I look at the American market, Kenyan coffee is one of the most expensive coffees, but when I look at the farmer, they're some of the poorest people anywhere in the world. So I started digging in. Just trying to understand the coffee trade in the US, the market side of things. What are they looking for? Why don't they carry Kenyan coffee on a consistent basis?
We spent probably 2 years just building relationships, both in the US and Kenya. But the more I went to Kenya and the more I learned and the more I talked to producers and cooperatives and things in Kenya, then I think I started seeing what some of the challenges were and how we could overcome that.
When I was done with all this, I figured out, you know what? This problem can actually be resolved. The only way the Kenyan coffee farmer is ever going to get a just price for their product is accessing the market directly.
Zabuni is the first American specialty coffee auction house to directly connect the Kenyan coffee farmer with the American consumer. Its success is dependent on the personal relationships the Joganas are cultivating in Africa.
I have to go to the rural areas in Kenya and talk to friends and family and relatives. I have to sit in their homes and answer questions about who is this consumer? Why do they like my coffee? What do they look like? Why is my coffee important to them? We have to answer those questions. So for us, we just felt like that bridge is not there. There's no one truly representing who the American consumer is to people in the origin, but there's also no one representing this producer in a very effective and honest way to the American consumer.
The producers ship their coffee here to Nebraska, where it is sold through online auctions to small coffee roasters in the Midwest.
It would not have been possible with people in this community, and even in Kenya. This would not have been possible. You want to bring it up and get that really good whiff, hit the cup, sometimes that releases some aroma. People just getting involved in ways that they didn't have to be, beyond their professional capacities, and wanting to see a business like this, in a community like this, in a part of the country like this, just succeed. The oils, the fruitiness, the characteristics of that coffee is now going to come out and shine in this part.
But it all circles back to Laban and Cora's commitment to family and a promise a grandson made to his grandmother.
We haven't been able to bring my grandma's coffee here yet, but I did assure her that someday, for sure, we will make sure we get her coffee and the group of coffee farmers that she's with get their coffee here, and for us to be able to sell it. When I say that this is personal, this is not just a product we deal with. It is personal, and you can't mess with grandma, or her stuff. We gotta do right by her and by those other women in her village and where she comes from.